Oregon, a place of wonder, a place of beauty. Every year, the infamous Northwest salmon make their way into the state's rivers and bays to spawn. These large salmon runs draw out many anglers hoping to catch their limit of this Northwest delicacy. The average size of a Northwest salmon is about 35 pounds, but they've been known to get up to be twice that size. Regardless, landing on one of these fish is a memory an angler will never forget. Hi everybody, I'm Paul Swangard and welcome to another edition of Sport Northwest here on the Action Sports Cable Network. Our episode this time around all about the sport of salmon fishing. And we'll head out to beautiful Tillamook Bay for the 17th annual North Coast Salmon Rendezvous. In fact, this is the annual fundraiser for the Oregon Wildlife Heritage Foundation. And we sat down with Rod Brobeck and Buzz Ramsey, the co-founders, to find out a little bit more about why they put this event on each and every year.
It's a social thing. It's become kind of almost like a two-day fishing party. And the guys have gotten to know each other over the years, and they come back and they say howdy, haven't seen you since last year, and it worked out really well.
If an angler wants to rub shoulders with a who's who of fishing in Tillamook, here's the place to do it. We started 17 years ago and had our first event that year and had 44 paid anglers and 22 guides and went out there and raised money for fish enhancement projects. Well, our first project was to have the hatchery up on the Trask River start raising a late returning Chinook that would benefit the sport fishery and spread out the fishery over a longer period of time. And that's gone from there. Our project list is 10 yards long. And us sportsmen has some influence to it by the fact that we brought ideas and dollars to the table. Of course, Rod Brobeck has been a huge, huge part of it.
Well, quite honestly, I'm still trying to learn the nuances of the local worm bar here at the local G.I. Joe's, and we still need to go to Tillamook Bay for the annual Salmon Rendezvous. So we entrusted one of our local outdoor experts, Andrew Mallory, to join one of the teams this year. And we told Andrew the least we could do is come here and find some decent equipment for his competition, and this looks pretty good. And so, Andrew, it's all yours.
Thanks, Paul. Well, I'm here today in Tillamook Bay, and this is going to be an interesting experience. The last time I caught a fish, it was off the east coast of Africa. It was about the size of me. They were called over there Nile perch. But today, I'm going to catch some great Northwest salmon. And I'm going to lay a bet that the two guides that are taking me out today, just behind me here, Dudley and Bud, are going to break a record. Because I'm going for a 75-pound salmon. Nothing else will do.
Like most die-hard fishermen, myself and the crew were up before dawn on this chilly November morning. As the sun rose over the coastal mountains, we had a hearty breakfast with the other competitors. Then we grabbed our box lunches and headed out to catch fresh Chinook on Tillamook Bay.
Well, what else do I need other than my fishing rod to make sure I can catch this 75-pound salmon that I came all the way from England to find? Well, I need two guides, and they're here with me. This is the first one. They're known, by the way, as the One Thumb Gang. This is Dudley.
Nice to meet you, Andrew.
Could you just show me the disaster that's happened to your right arm there?
Yeah. Compliments of my horse. Doesn't hurt the fishing any, though.
Super.
Yep.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'll see you out there.
That's
and now we're going to come over and meet a very interesting man. Hi, Bud.
Good morning.
What's your personal experience of fishing this region that we're in now?
I've fished it for years, since I've been pretty young, since probably the early 60s.
And are we at the right time of year for what we're trying to catch?
Yes, excellent time.
And we're going for, is it just a regular Northwest salmon, or is there any particular species?
We're going to go what they call fall Chinook. They come in, well, river north here, they come in like in July, and here they start coming in August, September, October, November, December.
Tillamook Bay is one of the largest inland bodies of water on Oregon's north coast. Named after a local Indian tribe, it's approximately 40 miles south of Astoria and contains a very rich mix of sea life. One of the unique things about this bay is it has 5 rivers which empty into it: the Miami, Kilchis, Wilson, Trask, and Tillamook. Along with the Pacific Ocean, these 5 rivers emptying into the bay offers the consummate fisherman at least 4 types of fishing technique. One could fish in the ocean, over the bar or jetty, in the bay itself, or up one of the 5 rivers. With these considerations in mind, Bud suggested we begin our day along the jetty and work back towards the rivers. My guide has a long history of fishing on this bay. As a native Oregonian, he started in this sport when he was just 13 years of age, and at one time held a professional guide's license. His love of the sport continued to endure even after a severe car accident. I knew I'd be in good hands with this chap.
I just want to show you guys where, because this is spectacular. It's early November, and this is one of the reasons I came to Oregon. You know, we're in this estuary here. Behind me, probably less than a mile away, are the waves breaking on the ocean. We can hear them in the distance. And this is, I don't know how you feel about this, Bud, but this to me is about as close to heaven as I could ever imagine getting without dying.
My great-grandpa and grandpa used to call this the great cathedral of Mother Nature, more humbling to a human being. Puts them in perspective as how insignificant we really are compared to the grand scheme.
I'll see what you mean. What's happening here? You've put the bait on.
I get the bait on, and we got what we call a dropper line, and we're gonna put the lead on it.
And that's just a weight device to keep the line down.
Yes.
Sunk.
Yeah, and this is a slider device. It'll go up and down the main line. It'll stop down here with gives us speed at a swivel. There's a lot of reasons for that. If the fish takes off, this lead gets hung up on the bottom. You can still land the fish.
Right.
Yeah. And then the lead line that we're going to use, 10 pounds lighter weight than the main line.
Right.
And so if we get hung up and lose the line, we don't want to have to put all these swivels and stuff like
that. So it's really a safety device.
Well, yeah,
and time saving.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Efficiency. Yeah, that's exactly right.
So give me some Northwest technical salmon fishing jargon.
Well, it's interesting up down the coast. Some people call these kings. Some call them smileys. Some call them chinook. And it's just every different area you have that you fish up and down the coast. It's like I used to commercial fish out here when I was going to school, and everybody thinks they know exactly what's happening. But I've been talking to fish for 6 years, and they've never answered me once.
You know, that's a shame. Maybe we'll get a few words out of one today.
Okay, I'm going to start the motor now.
I'll certainly be talking to them.
Okay. Oh, man, look at that. Breaking over the South Jetty, clear over the top. It'll day about every 6 sets.
Matt, can you see these breakers up there? About 200 yards away. These boats are disappearing in the troughs. I wonder if they'll catch up with us. Well, that's not what we're here for. So, Bud, what do we do now?
Well,
can we catch some fish, please?
Yes. Well, I mean, that's Mother Nature and the fish. We've got to find a dumb one.
We've got to find a dumb fish?
Yeah.
Okay.
I specialize in dumb fish.
First he talks to them, then he starts talking to them in a kind of a psychological manner, and he's sitting in a wheelchair.
Anyway, Andrew, we're going to drop this down until we can...
Can I feel what it's like?
Yes. And I've got up down to the bottom. Now, with the lead we've got on, I reel up a couple of reels. Now, every time you reel this reel in, check the star drag. And you want it to be about that tight. Now, so pull some line up so you'll see how tight
it's not that tight. Oh, I see what you mean. I can feel it on the bottom.
Yeah, right. It'll be a little thump. We don't want dragging the bottom. We drop down and hit the bottom and then reel up about a turn or two.
So when I start to feel one of these Chinooks biting and grabbing the bait, am I going to go flying off the end of the boat?
No, the star drag will help prevent that.
So I better sit down.
And then when the rod doubles over, you think it's going to go out of the boat, hang on tight, and then put your thumb on the spool where the line is.
Here.
And just pull it about a half a turn up and hang on.
Is that
No.
Huh?
No. That's just the wave action, hit the line and moving the line.
False
If it was
alarm.
smooth, you would have been feeling that.
I really... Listen, how on earth do you tell when there's a fish on the end of this thing? Or is that just the movement of the water?
Yes, it was just the
You know, I'm getting so excited about this.
What's that?
Oh, my friend over here has caught one.
That's one of our guys there.
That's right. Now, this guy's got it the right way around. He's just chilling out on a rock. He doesn't have to witness these 300-foot swells. But then he's not going to catch anything. And I am. Good luck, pal. Ah, got a crab.
Hey, good man.
That's not very impressive.
Oh, he's mean. We're going to have that war between...
Crab and a sardine so far. But we've adjusted the weight on the end of this line, and that will make all the difference.
Okay.
Now, Bud, I want to ask you about something.
Yes.
You know, where I'm from in Africa, we have Sangomas, witch doctors, who are very superstitious. In fact, the whole of Africa is very superstitious. But Bud, what I wanted to ask you about is, I've heard a rumor, something about a banana on a fishing boat.
Yeah.
Now, what's all that about?
Well, you know, it's a local myth in the Northwest. If you have a banana in a boat, you'll never catch a fish.
You know, that's so sad. I can feel tears welling in my eyes.
As the hour wore on, it became very apparent to Bud and I that the swells were getting much higher and more frequent.
So, I mean, we're looking now, just so you know, we're looking at swells of about 12 to 15 feet, Bud tells me.
There's a good one.
But how do these swells affect the fish? Or do they not affect the fish?
Well, I've been telling you, I have been talking to them for 60 years, and they never talk back to me.
So you're having a communication problem with your fish?
Absolutely.
Other boats in the competition began coming into the bay, so Bud suggested we do the same.
Well, we've been here for about an hour and a half now. I haven't had a bite, nothing. So we're going to move on to another place. It's got a very odd name. It's called the Ghost Hole.
On our way in, Bud suggested I take one more shot at fishing near the jetty.
I'm going to drop you on the bottom end of this because there's a kind of better foothold in here. This is really a great place. A lot of people don't like to fish off of low. I don't know why.
Sounds like a challenge. Oh, I see what you mean.
You're going to have to go up to the bow of the boat and step off the port side.
Okay, I've tried it the American way. Now I'm going to try it the British way. We'll see which one works better.
Andrew, do you want us to bring you lunch or dinner, or, you know, what would you like?
No, you can leave me alone now.
Okay, good luck.
I like the solitude.
Have fun. It's been a slice of heaven.
And I know the fish are going to bite here.
As Bud drove away, I knew I was in for some relaxation and good fishing. I just hoped my other guy, Dudley, wouldn't forget to pick me up before the tide started to rise. After all, we still had to try out the other fishing in a great place called the Ghost Hole. With no luck, after an hour of fishing off that wonderful rock, Dudley picked me up and we headed off for the Ghost Hole. The Ghost Hole is on the east side of the bay near a small town called Bay City. It's not extremely deep, but it's a favourite for the fishermen in the Salmon Rendezvous. My second guide, Dudley Nelson, is a native of Oregon. He's a retired state police officer who's been fishing for over 50 years.
Okay, let's see if we have some better luck.
Okay, it's called the Ghost Hole. And
The ghost, we're at the ghost. This is the ghost hole.
Right,
Yeah,
this
okay.
is the ghost. Watch the seagulls here, so. Okay, go ahead and let her down. Let her down, quick, 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 quick.
It's going.
I don't want that bird to get it. There you go, good.
So we're about 14 feet.
Yeah, this varies from about 12 to 20 feet deep in here.
I think I'm already there.
Okay. It's probably not very deep right here. I'm out a
Yeah,
little bit.
I'm right on the bottom now.
Yeah,
Come up a
okay.
little bit.
14 feet deep. Yeah, you're just fine. Yeah.
I'll take a seat here.
There's some fish, Andrew, right there on the fish finder.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Isn't that cheating?
Well, yeah, it is. That helps us catch one good.
I thought fishing was fair game. This is decidedly turning the odds, isn't
Fishing is fair game until they kind of get the upper hand on you, and then, you know, use a depth finder. I use this thing mostly just for depth, though, not really for finding fish. Sometimes I think these manufacturers just program the fish on there so they come on there and get you all excited. Because a lot of times, just like this, you see some nice fish on that fish finder and you think, oh boy, I'm going to get a bite, and nothing. So you wonder whether they're really there or not. I guess they are, but it just shows you how many fish are down there that don't bite. So you got to appreciate the ones that do.
And now they've vanished. Now there's no fish on there at all.
Well, we just went over them. It just shows them when you go over them, and they don't stay on there for very long.
Can you tell how many?
Sometimes they scare out from underneath you too. Yeah, there were 4 or 5 of them right there, and they look like big fish, so they're probably Chinook.
And not one of them bit.
Well, they will eventually.
So why is this place that we're in called Ghost Hole?
Well, I've asked a lot of locals why it might be called a ghost hole, and nobody seems to be able to tell me and give me an answer. My answer is that there's a big sandbar out here at low tide that's exposed, a huge big sandbar, and it's full of burrowing shrimp, and the name of those shrimp are ghost shrimp. So my feeling is that's how that's got the name.
Yeah, it's too bad that there's not a more interesting story, like a body with concrete around its ankles or something like that. Sounds too plain.
Yeah, I guess it does. Might be a little more exciting if we had a ghost story for you, but I'm afraid I don't.
So we're not doing very well on this fish finder thing. I mean, it looks to me like
we just got here. You got to give it a chance.
I mean, you got to have a lot of patience for this fishing
you sure
game.
do. Yeah, you do.
Oh, look, here comes one.
Yeah, here comes one. Maybe that's your fish.
Okay, let's get ready.
He's right at 15 feet.
And we're at...
And you're right at 15 feet.
We're at 15 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a whole shoal of them behind
Yep, there's a school of them there. 3 or 4
Well,
of
this
them.
might be it. Hang on to your chairs, because I might just be hooking my first 70-pound salmon.
Well, will you settle for a 25-pound?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's 75 or 70 pounds, or I'm not. I'm
Well,
going home.
no, that's quite a challenge.
There are dozens of them. Look.
Besides that, if you catch a 75-pounder, I might have to throw you overboard because I've never caught one here.
I mean, if I wriggle it up and down, does that make any difference?
It helps. Yeah.
So I'd like tease
just a little, not much.
There are literally hundreds of them.
Well,
under
there's
here.
not hundreds, but
How many?
There's a dozen of them down there.
Come on.
There's a dozen
Just
of them.
wriggling the rod now.
You're learning to be a good angler. You're exaggerating right off the bat.
Not one bite, and they're all leaving.
Well, you go over them, and you got to find the right ones. If every one of these bit, then it wouldn't be much fun.
Well, it would be for me right now. So is there, I mean, once you guys have got your boats in the water, you've come out, you've got your rods hanging over the edge and all that, that's it. You just sit and wait.
That's it.
So where's the excitement?
When the fish bites, that's when the excitement comes along.
But you could spend 12 hours and not have a single bite.
Exactly, and then you come out the next day and spend another 12 and not have a bite. And it could rain on you.
That sounds
and the wind
like
could
a
blow.
very frustrating sport to me.
You could fall in the water. It's a frustrating sport, all right.
Come on, it's time we had a bite.
There'll be a bite here, but the bite's going to be about, it'll probably be 2 hours before there'll be a bite.
How do you know that?
Because of the past couple of days, that's what's happened.
You sit like this for 2 hours?
Well, yeah.
And then you get a bite?
There's a lot worse places you could be sitting.
Does a bite mean that you catch?
Well, not necessarily. It means you're going to get something biting on into your outfit, and then you got to hook it, and then you have to land it. But by a bite, what I'm really referring to is there's going to be, they might catch a fish, and they might catch a fish, and we might catch a fish. That's a bite.
Has anyone caught any today so far?
Yes, I saw a nice Chinook caught out there on the bar, and I heard of a couple of silvers caught. But it's a little slow this morning. Hopefully it'll pick up this afternoon.
It's extremely slow this
No, I
morning.
saw one caught. That's extremely slow is when you don't see any caught.
Really?
Yeah.
Patience is the name of the game.
Patience is the name of the game.
Dudley decided we could make better use of our time by heading up the Wilson River to practice a different technique of fishing. If the Chinook weren't biting in the jetty or the bay, perhaps we'd find them upriver. As we travelled up the Wilson, the depth of the river varied dramatically. But with Dudley's flat-bottomed boat, we were able to easily traverse depths as shallow as 1.5 feet. The biggest hurdle is avoiding all of the logs and snags. One wrong move and a day on the river could become a very bad experience.
This is a real different little fishery up here. A lot of these guys bobber fish. Use a bobber or cork and bait, yeah.
About a mile up the Wilson, we discovered several of our rendezvous competitors. Most of them were bobber fishing. On the Trask and Wilson, many anglers favour the bobber because it does well in the tide water. As you can see, this simple device lands quite a salmon. Our final destination on the Wilson River lay just beyond the Highway 101 overpass. The water was a little swifter than normal, which presented a favourable place to catch our Chinook.
Well, we're here at a different part of the area. This is a very shallow river, and I'm using a completely different lure. It's very bright. Now, Dudley, what sort of fishing technique am I going to employ here?
Well, that's the flatfish you have on there, and we're going to let it out behind the boat about 40 or 50 feet and just hold on.
And you're just going to trawl it?
I'm going to troll it.
Okay.
It's going to dive down a foot or two, or 5 or 6 feet down, and
You see
fairly
those,
shallow water here, but the salmon like to lay in this hole. So.
See those hooks on there? Very serious bit of barbed wire.
Once it gets a bite there, let it go back about 40 or 50 feet, and then tighten up on it and just hang on.
Dudley, we seem to be kind of drifting back.
Well, you're right, Andrew. We are going a little bit slower than the current here, so we're backing down the river.
What's the method behind that madness?
Well, it's called back trolling, and it's basically if you just imagine a salmon laying out there stationary, just holding in one place. He likes where he is, so he's just laying there. And your lure's coming down the river real slow, right in front of his nose. It's just dangling a lollipop right in front of him. And a little different than out in the bay here. You can use there's a lot more science to it up here. It's the action of that lure that entices them to strike. They like the way it wiggles. Or they don't like the way it wiggles. That might be a better way to put it.
This type of lure is called a flatfish or quick fish. They're often used in quicker currents, with or without bait. With all the debris in the river, fishing isn't looking very good. In fact, it looks like we've hooked a dead leaf or something. Dudley makes a fine suggestion of heading back to Tillamook Bay to see what our competitors are up to in the ghost hole.
We've been up since 4 o'clock. Time to relax.
Unfortunately, my nap didn't last very long. In the time we were upriver, the tide in the bay had continued to go out, leaving our crew in quite a predicament.
He looks big time high and dry to me. I'm trying to figure out where I'm supposed to go here, though.
During our hour of fishing, the channel to get our boats out had gone from 40 feet wide down to 10 feet, leaving little room for error in getting downriver.
Now here is a first-class example of what happens when you leave everything to your producer. You trust in him and you believe in him. And what happens? He grounds his boat, delays our filming, ruins the day, and everyone ends up in a filthy mood. But we're about to ground ourselves as well, Dudley.
On another side.
In trying to get through the small channel, Bud miscalculated and ended up on the gravel bar. This is where the fun began.
Okay, let me explain the strategy here. 2 boats. The one over here with Team A in it has been grounded. The second boat with Team B in it, we're in a channel of water here and we think we're going to be okay. Now the idea is via this line is to pull Team A out of their grounded position, enter this channel here, and then we'll all be happy and on our way home. But how deep is our channel? We don't know. Yep, that worked.
One of the reasons our first plan didn't work was because the back of Bud's boat was planted quite heavily in the gravel and had little water underneath to give it some buoyancy. It didn't help that Bud had just filled up his tank with 80 gallons of fuel. So we decided to get a better angle with Dudley's boat and give our first plan another try.
Okay, this is an aggressive tactic. We're going to go as fast as we can and see if we can jerk that boat. Didn't work. Okay, now this is my suggestion. Why don't we, if 3 or 4 of us get around that boat, can we not lift it in? Okay, now this is strategy number 3. We push the bow over. In theory, that should loosen the stern of the boat and get it into the channel. Now, this is a classic example for you people out there because the tides down here in Tillamook vary enormously. When we came up this channel about 3/4 of an hour ago, there was about 3 feet of water. It's now, as you can see, up to my ankles, so we are well and truly grounded. Question is, how long for?
I might be able to jerk you now. Just a minute, I'm not doing anything.
Since Bud's boat was mainly stuck in the stern, the next attempt was to push it off the gravel bar from the back.
What?
Even though it looked like the boat was moving forward, believe me, it wasn't. We were able to pivot the boat, but not move it into the channel.
Fun. I wonder how long we'll be here for. It's been about 20 minutes so far. Now the tide in theory is on its way in, so if we sit here until around about 2 or 3 in the morning, the water will assist us and we'll be able to float down the channel. But I don't think we have that long, and we've got a lot more filming to do, so I still like option number 4 myself, which is Dudley pulling us out of this awkward and embarrassing predicament with his boat. But for some reason, that isn't happening right now. If I had to vote someone off this tribe right now, I'd have to vote off.
So they keep pushing it into the stream.
Can I tell you, Joe?
He spoke for me. That was a divine intervention.
Our success finally came when our producer lended us an extra hand in pushing the boat forwards.
Of course, if we had the cameraman producer helping push too.
Yeah.
Hi, cameraman. You having fun?
Both hands!
1, 2,
3.
we're nearly there.
Okay, ready? Do it
1,
again. 1,
2, 3. Going.
Gonna hit. Ramming speed. Ramming speed.
We're there!
See ya.
A free boat at last.
A job well done. Yeah.
But our problems weren't over yet. In the midst of using Dudley's boat as a rescue vehicle, his outboard water jet hit a stump and became inoperable. I decided to see if I could try and help.
Dudley, how's it going? What's the problem here?
Just let the gate hang loose.
Ow! So it looks like we've got a problem here with the jet. What is the problem? They're a little bit focused on the problem.
Dudley and our crew member found that one of the bolts on the outboard drive mechanism had become bent. Dudley could still move forwards, but not reverse. I tried to help in any way I could.
Gentlemen, how about a nice hot cup of tea? Nice pot of Earl Grey, maybe? 2 sugars or 3, Dudley?
What do you need?
How about some cheese, gentlemen? Some nice fresh cheddar cheese? No? Okay. How about a nice fresh can of orange juice, gentlemen? No? Okay. I'm going to leave this situation now in the capable hands of Dudley and his pal, who happens to be a member of the crew, by the way. And we'll be out of here pretty soon, I hope. If not, I'll see you in a couple of months.
After deciding to forgo the repairs on the reverse drive for Dudley's boat, the task switched to moving Bud's boat down the narrow channel. This had to be accomplished by pushing the boat through the shallow water. But because the tide was still receding, the channel had become more shallow than previously thought. Our producer was able to get out front of the boat and pull while others pushed from the stern. Our final challenge involved navigating through the stumps to the right of the channel. Bud's boat briefly got stuck on a stump, but we were able to free it finally by working together.
Well, that was an experience, but we overcame all the odds and we're back on our way. So, Dudley, let's go fishing!
I'm all for it. Let's do it.
Passing a few of the Salmon Rendezvous competitors as we entered the bay, we were relieved to be back in the competition. But as luck would have it, we encountered yet another challenge.
You're not going to believe this, but just as we thought things couldn't get any worse, we run out of gas. So my friend Bud in front of us is towing us back to shore. But there is good news. We did catch a 75-pound salmon. And that 75-pound salmon is inside this white salmon container. No, I'm lying. I didn't catch a 75-pound salmon, but we did run out of gas and we did ground the boat. I've got half an hour left and I'm going fishing.
Shortly before sunset, the Salmon Rendezvous group tries to make the most of their last hour on the bay. Even though the end is close, there's a sense of relaxation and leisure in waiting for that last fish to bite. As we make our way back to the dock, I was reminded of a deeper reason people enjoy this sport so much. It's not just reeling in that big one. It's much more than that. It's being out in nature and seeing all the beauty it beholds. It's getting away from the busyness of life and just relaxing. Days like these on Tillamook Bay help me to appreciate the unique and wonderful place we live in. It is truly amazing.
I'd like to thank you, gentlemen, very much indeed, for a day unlike any other I've had for a long time. It was full of adventure. And the fact that your arm's in plaster and that you're wheelchair bound really made no difference at all to anything that happened. When we return, join me for the 17th annual North Coast Salmon Rendezvous Awards Banquet and Auction. Maybe I'll win a prize myself.
As the fishermen come back to the hotel, each fish is weighed and measured. During these 2 days, 35 salmon were caught, some weighing close to 40 pounds. Then it's off to the banquet hall, where the day's totals are tallied and the winners are revealed. But before any awards are given, one must enjoy the wonderful food, including all-you-can-eat fresh bay shrimp. Families are welcome to enjoy the festivities with the fishermen, and stories about the one that got away are passed around.
Here we go, lot number 5 now. These will be Blazer tickets for 2 at Game 17.
Then it's time to start the auction. Companies from around the Northwest donate items for the fundraiser.
Who'd give $50? $50. 2 tickets now, $50, $20.
In a few short minutes, over $10,000 is raised for the Oregon Wildlife Heritage Foundation and its salmon recovery projects. This banquet also provides the fishermen the opportunity to share their fish stories with everyone. It didn't take me long to get up there to share about our wonderful day.
I arrived this morning with the crew and was told, Andrew, you've got two of the Northwest's most expert salmon fishers to teach you what to do for the day. One was in a wheelchair and one had his arm in plaster. That was just the beginning. What happened, and please remember, I've never done this before, was a comedy of errors like a day I don't think I've ever had before. Everything from running out of gas and being towed back at the end of the day, having run aground not one, not two, but 3 times, having had Dudley's boat jet engine virtually destroyed, having not caught, let alone seen, a fish, having had to wade up to my waist to push boats down 2 inches of water. The only fish, ladies and gentlemen, I came even close to seeing today was what you use for bait. And guess what? We brought it back with us. I love you people. I love your area. I'd like to thank Dudley and his counterpart in the wheelchair. I've had a great day, and I'm looking forward to coming back. Thank you.
Awards are given to the top 3 teams who collectively caught the most fish and the largest fish. Separate awards are given to individuals who set records in each of these 2 areas. Even though I didn't catch a fish, the Oregon Wildlife Heritage Foundation was gracious enough to give our crew an award for the day we had out on the water.
Andrew, you said you had your first fishing trip in America today?
That's correct.
And how many did you catch?
Nothing.
Did you do any fishing? Or did you just spend all your time pushing boats?
We did about half an hour's fishing.
Half an hour fishing, and how much time getting unstuck?
About 8.5 hours.
8.5 hours getting off the sandbars and a half-hour fishing. Well, that's Oregon for you. We'd like to present this award to you for your first day of fishing in Oregon.
Thank you.
And I'm sure that you'll have some memories of this.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks.
Well, that's about it from me here in Tillamook and from the 17th Annual North Coast Salmon Rendezvous. Paul, I have one thing to say to you. I'm an officer, a gentleman, and a sportsman. But you can keep your fishing rod.
Thanks very much, Andrew. We'll check the return policy here at G.I. Joe's for rods that don't actually catch fish. But good news, Andrew, I did find the crab traps. I'm told the crabs work a little bit slower than the salmon do, so better luck next time. Our thanks to the folks at the North Coast Salmon Rendezvous and also the Salmon Festival at Oxbow Park. A reminder, you can check out more of the stories we'll cover in future episodes of Sport Northwest by joining us on the web at www.ascn.tv. So for Andrew, I'm Paul Swangard. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you next time.